Here's a curious thing. Some of the most capable people I get to work with secretly walk around with the belief that they're not good enough. They achieve great things, they get the job, the promotion, the fantastic house and the car, and for about 5 minutes it feels great. But then quietly creeps in that thought, but yeah, you could be doing better. And in creeps that feeling, you're not good enough quite yet. I'm Steve Maher, I'm a best-selling author, accredited coach and registered therapist, and I've helped hundreds of clients in over 3,000 hours of coaching sessions improve their lives. And during those sessions, one thing I've realised is many people go around with the belief that these thoughts and these feelings that I'm not good enough come from trauma. In reality, quite often these thoughts and feelings come from something far simpler. They come from the fact that many people are walking through life gauging how they're doing against some invisible scorecard that they never came up with. Once you see this, everything starts to fall into place and you start to see life differently. The famous business guru Peter Drucker was famous for saying, if you can't measure it, you can't manage it. And one thing that I found that we're really good at is measuring how we're doing, but we rarely take a moment to think what we're measuring ourselves against. And somehow we seem to have picked up some sort of scorecard that's telling us that we're not successful enough, I should be earning more, I should be more confident, by now I should have it all figured out. The problem is, this scorecard doesn't really have any rules. Well, certainly not rules that we decided. And it definitely doesn't have a finish line. So no matter what we achieve, it never feels like we've done enough. So where does this weird and wonderful invisible scorecard come from? Well, the strange thing is we didn't design it for ourselves. It was assembled quietly as we moved through life, by our parents, by school, by society, by social media. The process is called conditioning, and we're conditioned to think in a certain way by those around us. So you start to absorb messages that sound like, to be successful, you should be doing this. To be more confident, you should behave like that. By this age, you really should be doing this. And without even realizing it, you've started to absorb someone else's rules, someone else's scorecard, someone else's definition of success. I was discussing this phenomena with a client of mine recently who about a year ago had landed his dream job. Senior role, fantastic salary, really interesting work. And he said something really curious to me that would surprise many people. He said, when I got here, Steve, I thought I'd finally made it. But instead, I felt like I've always felt, like it's still not good enough. And he was left with the thoughts, am I doing enough? Am I staying ahead? Am I falling behind? You see, the funny thing is, the moment he achieved his dream job, his invisible scorecard simply raised the bar yet again. This is a powerful thing that our brain does to us. It's constantly shifting the goalposts. You think if I can just achieve this, then I'll finally be good enough. But all our brain does is update the scorecard, and you're left chasing a feeling that never quite arrives. I call this phenomena chasing the horizon. The problem here is not that you're not doing enough. The problem is your brain is measuring how you're doing. It's judging you without any clear criteria. Just imagine for a minute that you're playing in a football match, the goals keep moving, the rules keep changing, and you've no idea what the score is. You'd feel like you were losing all the time. You'd feel totally frustrated. And this is how most people live their lives. So instead of unconsciously absorbing society's version of success for you, maybe start asking slightly different questions. Ask yourself, what really matters to me? What matters most? What kind of life do I want to build for myself? When you have that kind of clarity, it really takes the pressure off. So what can we do about this? Well, I'm going to give you a couple of different scorecards that make all the difference to you and hands down beat that invisible scorecard you've been using to date. So the first scorecard I'm going to take you through measures what I call emotional needs. Now, we're all very familiar with our physical needs. These are things like food and water and clean air and so on. But often we don't think about our emotional needs. Now, we all have 9 emotional needs, but in this video I'm just going to focus on 5 of them. And as I take you through these 5 emotional needs, just give yourself a score from say 1 to 10, where 1 is I'm not getting this need met at all, and 10 is I'm smashing it out of the park. Just do a little audit on yourself. The first emotional need is safety and security. We all have an inherent need to feel safe and secure. And there's lots of different types of safety and security. There could be financial safety, emotional safety, physical safety. But how safe do you feel in life? How secure do you feel? The second emotional need is what I call volition. It's making our own decisions for ourselves. So are you making your own decisions about your life? Or have you got other people like a boss or a partner or a family member that's making decisions for you? A key measure of how contented we feel is how in control of our lives we feel. The third emotional need is our sense of belonging. Human beings are incredibly sociable animals. We need to feel like we're part of something bigger than us that's moving towards something, a group, a team, a tribe. If you don't feel like you belong to a group, the chances are you won't feel that contented in life. It's an inherent need that we have. The next and fourth emotional need is agency. Agency is the ability to set your mind to a task and achieve it. And if you feel competent and achieve the things that you're setting out to achieve, you'll tend to feel good about yourself. If you're constantly falling short, the reverse is also true. And the fifth and final emotional need I want to cover in this video is meaning and purpose. Show me someone with meaning and purpose and I'll show you someone that leaps out of bed in the morning. Show me someone that hasn't got meaning and purpose and they struggle to get out of bed in the morning. It's about being stretched and feeling that you're contributing something beyond yourself. So a good question to ask yourself in terms of meaning and purpose is, what are you here for? I know it's a deep question, but those people that understand what they're here for, they tend to live a much more content and fulfilling life. I work a lot in the education sector and I work a lot with teachers. Now, teachers don't tend to get paid the highest salary, but they have a very clear sense of purpose, which tends to be, I'm helping others with their education and growing and develop. That's kind of meaning and purpose. So how did you get on with your emotional needs scorecard? Did you score highly across the board? Because if you have, you're doing pretty well in life. If there's one or more than one where you scored quite lowly, that's where you need to focus your attention and find a way to get those needs met. Much more useful than that invisible scorecard that you may well have been using beforehand. The second kind of scorecard I want to mention today is around your values. Your values are the things that are most important to you in life. I'm talking about words like adventure, authenticity, honesty, relationships. The list is practically endless, but those people that understand their values and live a life in alignment with those values tend to lead the more contented and fulfilling life. You shouldn't have hundreds of these. You only want to pick out 5. And to help you with this, I'm going to pop into the description of this video my values list that I work with my clients on. Work out what your top 5 values are and make sure that you're living your life in alignment with those. Those people that live their life out of kilter or out of whack with their values, they tend to be struggling in life. The feeling that we're not good enough isn't necessarily the sign of a deep psychological wound that has to be healed. It can quite often be something far simpler. It could well be that we've been measuring how we're doing in life against the invisible scorecard. The day we realize this and the day we stop chasing the need to feel good enough is the day that we can start to lead a much more purposeful and meaningful life.